Welcome back to the Sober Sex Sofa. My name is Shanti Owen and I am your host for this channel. Okay, you might be wondering why I'm wearing this weird hoodie. Because this is how I feel when I feel ashamed about my love addict. And I actually have far more shame about my love addict than I do my sex addict. Let me put on my big girl panties and discuss this very, for me anyway, shameful addiction. We all have various addictions that we feel shame about, and I actually feel most shame about my love addiction. You know how it's easier to see your own challenges in somebody else, whether they're addiction issues or not? The way that I recognized my own love addiction was looking at some of my friends over the years who, particularly there was a woman who was very gregarious. She loved to dance. She loved to laugh. She loved playing tennis. She was the life of the party and very warm, effusive, just a wonderful friend to be around. And over the years, she was with a particular guy, and I noticed pretty soon after they got together that many of her behaviors changed or stopped. She definitely stopped dancing. She stopped playing tennis. And when I asked her, she said, I just think that was very high school. I'm just really not that into tennis anymore. I mean, she had an excuse for everything I asked her about. And her personality had changed so dramatically. She wasn't warm and effusive. There was no laughter. And it wasn't until that relationship broke up several years later that she came to me and explained to me why that happened. Because with love addiction, we are terrified of being abandoned, terrified. So often what happens is we end up taking on our partner's likes and dislikes out of terror that they might not want to stay with us if we didn't agree or if we didn't mirror the activities that they liked to participate in. When I think about my love addiction, that Tina Turner song comes to my mind. What's love got to do with it? Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, we in the 12-step programs that are discussing these love addiction issues, we actually put the word love in quotes. Love addiction, love addict, because love actually has nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, lack of love has mostly to do with our love addiction. In the field of psychiatry, love addiction is considered an attachment disorder. An attachment disorder is when, in infancy, the infant has either an inconsistent, a neglectful, or an abusive relationship with the primary caregiver, often the mother. This attachment disorder is one of emotional attachment. We have an extremely difficult time either attaching to someone emotionally or detaching from someone emotionally. For those of you who might not quite understand what attachment disorders are, you might look at love addiction as a codependency issue, but it's a very specific type of codependency. It's not codependency on job or friends, which I have also had, but it's a very specific codependency on romantic relationships. Extreme fear of abandonment is one of the earmarks of a love addiction. Now, the love addiction was created in infancy, and what we do is we replicate this throughout our lives by actually looking for partners who will mirror this original trauma. So we often look for partners who are unavailable, somehow do not fulfill our needs, as our primary caregiver also did not fulfill our needs. It is extremely painful, and the withdrawal from these relationships, for me personally, was very shameful because I considered myself to be a fairly intelligent person, a very mature, grown up person. But when it came to my love addiction and the withdrawal from it, i.e., a breakup, I could be in bed for days. That's no brainer, but weeks. And I would call into my work and say that I had a terrible flu. And it sounded like I had a flu because I had been crying night and day and my nose sounded stuffy. So it was a pretty good alibi. So that is why I, at the beginning of this video, started with that hoodie on me. I just want to hide. I don't want anybody to see me. I feel ashamed. And that is why I didn't think about it intellectually, but that is why my sex addict became my best friend. Now, I know that sounds a little strange, but I had a terrible breakup and I wanted to die. And I wasn't willing to kill myself. I had a young daughter. She was about 8 years old. I wouldn't want to do that to her, but if a Mack truck hit me, I wouldn't have been unhappy. So I knew I was in a dangerous place. So what I had decided at that point was that I was going to screw my way through the planet to relieve myself of this pain. And temporarily, it did. It got me out of the house. It got me to stop obsessing about the guy that just broke up with me or I broke up with him. And it gave me some temporary relief. But the pain was so deep that I needed more and more and more lovers to quell the terrible pain and the shame that I felt. Besides the 12-step programs that I attended regularly, I took on a special therapist, a CSAT therapist. It stands for Certificate of Sex Addiction Therapy. It was a therapist who specialized in sex addiction. And I remember asking her if it's easier to heal from a sex addiction or a love addiction, because she knew that I had both. And I was really surprised. Actually, I was shocked when she said it is far more difficult to heal from a love addiction. Really? The reason is because it's an attachment disorder that goes way back to infancy, and that trauma has to be healed. 12-step programs help enormously for most addictions, even sex addictions. But love addiction, almost never. People who are looking to get sober from love addiction, get healed from love addiction, however you want to couch it, has to go through some very deep therapy in order to have any long sustaining success with love addiction. The way my love addict acted out, I guess, if you want to call it that, was through romance and relationships. I was a sucker for romance. You gave me the right amount of delicious food and flowers and a beautiful ambiance, I could fall in love with you. And I was addicted to being in a relationship. When I was not in a relationship, that's when I would go through all these withdrawal symptoms, which included obsession with the person I had just left or who had just left me, depression, grief, fear, rage, and shame. I used to be very grateful to my sex addict that my sex addict would pull me out of my love addiction because it is so painful. And I have done a lot of work, a lot of very deep therapy work on my love addict. But just talking about it brings back so many painful memories. And when I'm in the 12-step rooms with people who have love addiction, it takes me right back there, and I feel the pain with them. I want to express my hope because we can recover from all addictions, and love addiction is no exception. And there are several 12-step rooms specifically for love addictions. Some of them are combined with sex addiction. You can go online and find out which one best fits you. Now, you might think, oh, anybody who has a breakup is going to go through a challenging time. And that is true. But some people, especially people like me, who suffered greatly with love addiction, I still have it. It is just that she is quelled for the moment. And I have wonderful therapists, 12-step programs, sponsors, sponsees, and fellows who I can call at any given moment and let them know I'm going cray-cray. Please go online, look for these programs, find healing, and you might just have a big question mark if you are a love addict. And if you go to any of these particular 12-step programs, they have several lists, and they will say, do you have any of these? This, and this. If you have maybe 6 out of these 20, you might consider that you have a love addiction. I wish to thank you for coming back to the Sober Sex Sofa. Please like this video, subscribe, and come back again and again. And again, you're going to learn more. I'm going to learn more. And I really hope you send me those really challenging questions. Please. Now, I'm very much aware that some of these questions might be very intimate. I'm going to leave you my email address. I'm also going to speak it. It's pretty easy to remember. It is the sobersexsofa@gmail.com. The sobersexsofa@gmail.com. sobersexsofa@gmail.com. Please, if you are too challenged to ask me those questions, send them to me privately in an email. I will be happy to reach back out to you. I look forward to seeing you again. Let's keep getting cozy on the Sober Sex Sofa. Until next time.